Red Lobster has officially filed for bankruptcy, and the entire mainstream media is...
Story time. This conversation is near and dear to my heart because I used to work at Red Lobster, and in fact, I started my business and am building my business because of my experience at Red Lobster. I'm Michelle M. Trehollis, and I'm what I call a hospitality revenue strategist. And what that basically means is that I help restaurants and support them in attracting, retaining, and training quality front of house staff, and also increasing their revenues and profits by utilizing tech. Technology is for the people. I truly believe that. And as you know, with AI, technology, software, all companies that are really going to be able to compete in this day and age are going to need to update those processes and update their systems. The beauty about software and technology is that it gives you the capability to do that, and there's so much revolution in that area. But back to Red Lobster, this is a very important conversation, and it's why I left Red Lobster just last year. So the fact that Red Lobster is filing bankruptcy is no surprise to me. So I actually have a very extensive history with Red Lobster. I worked at Red Lobster here in El Paso, Texas, 20 years ago. Gosh, I'm old. And I also worked at Red Lobster in Kentucky. I had a lot of great friends, great memories there. And when I worked there before, okay, and this actually ties back to to Be Better, who's the guy who started this video, ties back to his video. So definitely watch it because he's going to go into the financials. I'm going to talk to you about the inside. But when I worked there before, man, they were just super, it was all about quality. They trained us very well. I mean, we had a 5-day training course, and it was very extensive. They did it in groups. Okay, so like if you were getting hired there, you trained for a week and you trained in a whole group. So you trained with other people. It was very, very formalized. At the Red Lobsters that I worked at, they all were in pristine condition. They all were super clean. They just really, I mean, the managers were almost militant in terms of quality. And I'm talking quality food, quality experience. We had to be about our job. We had to be very clean. They just were very, very particular about the way it was ran, and it showed, and we all made great money. Well, I went on to do job coaching, and when I moved to Kentucky and I worked there, then I ended up doing a whole lot of different jobs. Ended up leaving Red Lobster there because I had moved back here, I think is why I left there. And then when I went back to Kentucky, I went to a different restaurant. So I've been in restaurants for the past 20 years of my life. All of my jobs, like my first jobs, were all in like fast food chains, and then I moved into mom and pop restaurants, and then bigger restaurants. So what I found, and I think this could be, when I came back to El Paso, I came back here in 2019. I worked at other chains. I worked at P.F. Chang's. I worked at some local restaurants as well. But I was also trying to figure out a business that I could start, and I really just, and I was doing some healing. That's a longer story for a different time. But when I came back to Red Lobster here in El Paso, I was actually mortified. I thought I was going to be walking into what I was used to. And just a disclaimer, I really even hate to talk about this because I'm not trying to shade anyone. I don't want to cause problems for any of the people that I worked with. But it was a SHIT show for real. Now, the general manager, I really liked her and enjoyed her. And there were a couple managers that people would act different around. But all together, the way that they ran that place was actually really gross. I hate to say that, because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But it was absolutely horrifying. It was dirty, way dirtier than I was comfortable with. Like I said, I ended up quitting. After far less than, I would say after probably 8 months at tops is what I worked there. But I just could not do it any longer. Some of the managers, when they worked, were better than others, if you know what I mean. And if you've been in the restaurant industry, you know exactly what I mean. There was fraternization. They would fire people just on a whim, but they wouldn't hold the same standards for everyone else. The people that were training us, they were rude and vulgar. And that just should not be allowed in that environment. And everybody knew that reputation of that person, but they still allowed that to go on. And if you are
a quarter mile,
sorry about that, but if you run a business, you have to nip things in the bud. Sometimes when people have been there for a long time, they get away with things that other people don't get away with, but the truth is no one gets away with it because you lose great people. You lose great people by doing that. You lose great people by allowing some people to do certain things, especially if those things are not great for the guest, great for the business. And my last straw, and I'll go into like deeper details if you all want to. Leave a comment below if that it resonates with you and you do want to hear more about this. But my final straw was one night. It was a busy night, and I was looking for the manager because I needed something done on a ticket, or I needed them to talk to a table, and the manager was gone. The manager had left the building and was gone, and was coming back later, but I had no one to address the issue as a manager that I needed. So that person just left work, did whatever they were doing, and then decided to come back when they felt like it. But again, if you go back to Be Better, Better's post, or his video, the video that's stitched here, you will find he goes into deep information about why this, why Red Lobster filed bankruptcy, and now I understand. I completely understand why they weren't being more regulated. They were not being managed at a higher level in a way that would make sense. And the reason why is because the company that owned them was also the company that should be the last time that interrupts. Sorry about that. But the company that owns Red Lobster, okay, the company that owns Red Lobster is the same company that was selling them the fish. They are the shrimp, and that same company that owned Red Lobster was selling them the shrimp is the company that decided to make all-you-can-eat shrimp never ending. And that was another reason I left, because I'm like, I am not about to be running all over the place for a $20 a cover ticket. That's crazy. That was just too much. So when they went to every day, all you can eat, I already knew they were on the way out, because I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because it doesn't take a genius to figure out that is not sustainable. There's nothing sustainable about all you can eat shrimp. And as a business, I'm thinking, how are they making money on this? Well, according to the Be Better guy that I stitched this video from, they weren't. Red Lobster wasn't, but the company that acquired them, who is the same company that sells them the shrimp, they were lining their pockets and probably had no intention, the way, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just thinking it through, probably had no intention of Red Lobster not going bankrupt. They just wanted to sell all their shrimp and run out of their product, and then they were going to go ahead and then just resell the real estate, because that's what they did. They purchased the real estate and then rented it back to the franchisees. So this was probably a scheme just to line their pockets and get rid of the asset. And to me, that's horrible. And I don't know who still works there from when I worked there, but I feel sorry for the employees of Red Lobster, because that just wasn't fair. But I saw the writing on the wall, and I got out of there, and I connected in with a local restaurant here that I absolutely love. Man, I almost could cry. I almost could have cried by how happy I was to be there. Because I'm like, these people actually get it, and they actually care. They actually care about about it being super clean. They care about hospitality. It's a top shelf, 5-star type of dining experience, and it shows. And I've been there ever since. And not only have I been there, but I've been using my skills, talents, abilities, and my knowledge to help support them in their cost savings, using technology, maximizing the return on that investment, and then also growing through social media and building their community as an asset, and building upon that through newsletters and things like that. So I just wanted to share my experience, and let me know if you want to hear more. I am not at all surprised about this news, and I used to work at Red Lobster and left last year for this very reason. And I'm not here to cause any problems, but I am here to share with anyone who's thinking about getting into the restaurant business or is in the restaurant business exactly why you do not want to make the same mistakes that Red Lobster did. I'm going to tell you my personal story.